you. I want to turn now to Clint, who can give us a bit more of a visual picture of the geography here. Clint, we know Israel is amassing military assets near the Gaza border, as Ellison just mentioned. So what is Israel's strategic objective here, and what would a ground invasion look like? How many troops are we looking at?
Yeah, so if you zoom in to where Ellison's at, what you see is very much a battle between certain locations. This here is Ashkelon. That's where Ellison is at. That's the rockets that you saw going into Gaza. Also, you're seeing coming out of Gaza and Gaza City in that area, rockets coming out. Those are the ones being hit by the Iron Dome. Separately, this is the corridor right here that the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, went through and cleared yesterday. They secured that area. And what you're seeing now is they built up a military zone. They're essentially going through, blocking this off from all Israelis. And that is the first thing you would do. It's called a cordon. You would cordon off the area up into the gates, the border there, to make sure that all Israelis are out of it. I'm sure part of this is what is rocket fire? What could a breakthrough look like if Gaza militants made through? They're staging themselves in a way where it looks like they're preparing for some sort of offensive operation. This would be the first step, clearing the area around Gaza. The next step would be actually figuring out a breach point in which they would go in.
And Clint, this isn't just an unfolding situation at the southern border of Israel. There's increasing talk about where refugees might head and whether Egypt will accept them. Walk us through those dynamics.
Yeah, so one of the more serious things that's going on already is here at this point. The Rafah Gate is essentially a bridge to Egypt. That's a gate there that the Egyptians have held firm. But in this area, in this corner right there of Gaza, there are already hundreds of thousands of displaced persons from Gaza that have moved towards that border. At some point, if the pressure is intense enough, you've already got electricity that has gone off here. There's essentially one power plant that runs on fuel. The blockade has turned it off. You're likely to see refugees moving down towards Egypt in an even more forceful way, or trying to move to other parts. Imagine if you're the Israeli military and you go on the offensive, you breach some of the gates, probably here between two of the major built-up areas. What would you see? Well, likely you'd have to try and secure that portal because refugees would push through it. That would put more people in that military zone. So there's a pretty dire situation here. And that's not to mention the other things that could pop up, either in the West Bank here, where there's been lots of protests and skirmishes over the summer and into the fall, or to the north, where we've already seen shots fired back and forth between Hezbollah and the Israeli Defense Forces.
And Clint, we've often heard about how densely populated Gaza is. Talk to me a little bit about how difficult it could be for the Israeli military there, given the fact that it has so many tunnels and really so many people living so closely packed together. How difficult would this operation be for the Israelis?
The toughest kind of combat is urban combat. We would say whenever an attacker is going against defenders, they need 10 to 1. In other situations out in open areas, it's 3 or 4 to 1, 10 to 1. In Gaza, it could be 10, 20, or 30. And the reason is Gaza is so populated, so heavily dense in terms of its construction. You're doing a fight that's up, meaning many stories high in the air. Then you're fighting on the ground and in the streets. And most importantly and most dangerous, which is really unique to Gaza, is the subterranean complexes that run throughout that area. Hamas has been there for a long time. You're looking at booby traps. You're looking at explosives. You're looking at forces being deployed underground that can maybe come up to your rear area. Add to that 150 or more hostages spread throughout this entire area. 2 million people. Right. You're looking for 150 hostages. This is just a very complex scenario that they're going to be facing.
And Clint, very briefly, before I get to Matt Bradley, who's in Lebanon, we're hearing reports of Israel sending tens of thousands of troops to its northern border. Yes. Why is that so significant?
Yeah, so the key point of all of this is what everyone is wondering about is will it expand to a regional conflict. Here is Hamas in the Gaza Strip, but up here, in this southern part of Lebanon, the northern Israeli border, in 2006, there was a war between Israel and Hezbollah. Hezbollah, a Shia militia, Shia terrorist group that is backed by Iran. Separately, there have been shots fired from Syria and rockets fired into Israel, northern Israel. Could be another front here with Syria and militant groups that are there. So this could easily become a 1, 2, 3, maybe even a 4th front that Israel would have to be engaging on and trying to secure their territory. If you went and looked today, you would already start to see the buildup of forces along what is the Golan Heights.
Clint, thank you so much for breaking all that down for us.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.